Tonight, new details about the preparations going into CNN's presidential debate by both the Trump and Biden campaigns. The debate now less than 2 weeks away. CNN is learning that former White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain is leading Biden's prep, which will focus on painting Trump as chaotic and divisive. And for Trump's part, CNN is learning that he is in policy prep sessions with Senators Marco Rubio and Eric Schmidt. This is the Bulwark's Mark Caputo reports that the final weeks of Trump's Veep stakes have turned into, quote, the apprentice on steroids. That three names specifically have risen to the top. Those are Doug Burgum, Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance, all passing what is considered Trump's TV test, which is when Trump asks people, does he look good on television? Who's the best on TV? And all three of those men seem to know that. Just look at these numbers since May 1st. Burgum has done more than 30 interviews for Trump, 30 TV interviews. Vance has done 20. Rubio, I guess, really pulling in third at 13. And there may be a reason for that. So hold for that, because I want to bring Mark Caputo in now. So Mark, this is, you're reporting on this. Now, you have spoken to a lot of MAGA insiders who know what Trump is thinking, what he's saying to them. So let's start with J.D. Vance. What's the current case for and against?
I mean, there's a lot of things that MAGAville really likes about J.D. Vance, but the big thing is that he's from the Rust Belt. He's from Ohio. And in the polling and in the estimation of the Trump campaign, he just needs to win one of those Rust Belt swing states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, or Michigan, and he'll win the presidency. And Ohio being right next to Pennsylvania, they feel really good about Vance. He's a smart guy. The problem, however, is that he's really young. He's 39. He's about to turn 40. And he doesn't have a lot of political experience. He's only been a senator for 2 years.
Right. And his old Trump criticism, liking tweets where he called him a douchey something. I don't know. It was K-File had a great report last night.
I'll let you say
Monster,
that, not me.
Things like that. Okay. So, but there's that history, and interesting, just to point out, obviously, Ohio now a red state, but that they think that could get one of those neighboring Rust Belt states that you lay out. Okay. Now, what about Doug Burgum, who originally had been running himself and now has been on Trump's plane, been at Mar-a-Lago, been at rallies? I mean, really been tied at the hip to him.
Yeah, the way it was described to me is they have a buddy-buddy relationship. He's 67. Donald Trump is, well, I guess today he's 78.
Yep.
They're the closest in age out of the three. He's independently wealthy. He really knows oil policy. He's introduced Trump and helped with oil executives who are helping finance the campaign. Trump really likes him. They just have a good relationship. The thing is, he's sort of a black box, and North Dakota is not really a very big state. It's not a huge media state. They don't have very competitive elections, not a lot of national media. So not much is known about him. So, who knows what you get with Doug Burgum once you put him on the big stage.
All right, let's get back to lucky or unlucky 13. We'll see which it is. Marco Rubio's appearances, media appearances, right, which were so many fewer than Burgum or Vance. You say that is part of perhaps his strategy. So talk to me about Rubio.
Yeah, to a degree. Marco Rubio kind of really doesn't want to go overboard. It's also not his style, as opposed to J.D. Vance or Doug Burgum. They went down to Manhattan, for instance, during the criminal trial. They made sure to appear there. Rubio didn't. Rubio's been a little more standoffish. And in fact, Trump had noticed at one point, he had said to some people, hey, does this guy really want it? Does he want to be vice president? The word got back to Rubio, and Rubio quickly said yes. And the case for Rubio is pretty vast. The guy is very smart. He's fluent in Spanish. He's bilingual. One of those 13 media appearances was on Telemundo, where he just spoke in fluent Spanish about the case for Donald Trump and the Republican case. He's also been on the big stage, unlike the other two. That is, he ran against Donald Trump in a really competitive Republican primary in 2016. Yeah. But yes, that's part of the downside, right? He was little Marco, and Rubio did insult, how do we say this on television? Donald Trump's genitalia, albeit by way of the size of his hands. Yeah. The other issue that Rubio has is the far right really doesn't like him. In 2013, he tried to do comprehensive immigration reform. He hasn't gotten a lot of forgiveness for that. And a lot of people see him as a neocon, sort of a war hawk. That's not quite true if you look at sort of his history and his history with Donald Trump, but that's the wrap on.
Yeah, and he's certainly gone much more with Trump on Ukraine than would be consistent with anything in the history of Marco Rubio. But this whole question of Trump saying, well, who's good on TV? I mean, it fits with everything we all know about Donald Trump, but what does that actually mean as far as you're hearing it? What's this who's good on TV mean?
Well, it just means who is going to defend and prosecute my case the best. Now, the thing with Donald Trump is he asks a lot of questions. He doesn't answer them. So we really don't know, what does Donald Trump think about the answers, who looks best on television. I mean, if you talk to a lot of women in MAGAville, women do like J.D. Vance's eyelashes. Yes, I'm not joking, and his blue eyes. So he does have more of the look that Donald Trump is looking for. Wow. But as one of the advisors and confidants that I spoke to, spoken to Donald Trump, said, look, J.D. Vance looks like if you shave his beard, he'll be about 12 years old, and he's lucky he's got those flecks of gray in there. That does matter to them.
Well, and you know what? All jokes aside about long eyelashes, we know Trump cares about how people look. So I don't know how the long eyelashes will go, but it's not just a laughing matter. All right, thank you very much. Good to see you, Mark.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, and whoever Trump picks will have to be sure to not go against Trump on a major issue that could decide who wins and who loses. This issue is now so huge for so many single voter issues in America, and Phil Mattingly is out front.
The states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land.
Since April, on at least one issue, Donald Trump has stayed on message.
The states now decide on abortion.
No matter the question, if it's related to abortion, Trump returns to what could best be described as an unambiguous goal of ambiguity.
The states are handling it. Some states will be more conservative and others will be more liberal. Some people will be happy. Some people will be okay. Some people won't be quite as happy. Some will be thrilled.
Driven by what three people who have spoken privately to Trump on the issue concede is a recognition of the electoral danger a hardline approach to the issue poses. This motivates Democrats like nothing else, one of those people told CNN. He sees it and isn't going to fall into that trap. But for a former president who has managed to publicly hold diametrically opposed views on the issue,
I'm very pro-choice. I'm pro-life.
the messaging to disarm a potent Democratic strength doesn't erase a very unambiguous reality. Trump's first-term record. 4 years, where his top administration officials utilized executive authority to reshape federal abortion policy at home and abroad.
But I'm proud to be the most pro-life president in American history.
And it's a record that anti-abortion advisors and advocates point to as a roadmap for a second term in a post-Roe v. Wade America.
He's a pro-life president. I believe he will be a pro-life president in the future also.
Expanding on aggressive and immediate first-term efforts to make good on campaign promises tied to abortion.
During my first week in office, I reinstated and expanded the Mexico City policy, and we issued a landmark pro-life rule to govern the use of Title X taxpayer funding.
As federal agencies with legal, policy, and funding authority, and led by unapologetic anti-abortion appointees, deployed a wave of rulemakings, guidance, and restrictions tied to their policy goals, which the Trump White House readily touted in its list of first-term accomplishments just days before he left office, all of which occurred before the cornerstone of Trump's anti-abortion legacy took place.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it. And I'm proud to have done it.
3 Trump-appointed Supreme Court justices clinched the reversal of the national guarantee to abortion access in 2022. Yet it's what Trump could do on his own that has drawn the most interest from anti-abortion advocates like Roger Severino, a former top Trump HHS official.
We have federal laws on the books that prevent the interstate trafficking in abortion drugs. It's very clear.
That's a reference to the Comstock Act, an 1873 law that bans the mailing of the drugs and tools used in abortion. The law held no weight while Roe was on the books. Trump has declined to answer whether he'd use the law, despite promising in April to release a statement within 2 weeks. But a Trump DOJ could weigh a series of interpretations, from choosing to prosecute anyone who sends or receives mifepristone, which is used in roughly 2/3 of nationwide abortions, or going as far as to restrict the mailing of any supplies used in surgical abortions, effectively a total ban on the procedure.
If we were to have an administration that would actually enforce the Comstock Act, then we could see every abortion facility in America shut down.
Markley Dixon is one of the key anti-abortion activists responsible for promoting the Comstock Act, lobbying dozens of cities to outlaw abortion through local enforcement of the law. His partner in that effort is former Texas Solicitor General Jonathan Mitchell, author of Texas's strict anti-abortion law, and Trump's attorney who argued the Colorado ballot case before the Supreme Court in February. Once a friend's theory, Comstock has woven its way into conversations all the way up to the nation's highest court.
This is a prominent provision. It's not some obscure subsection of a complicated, obscure law. They knew about it. Everybody in this field knew about it.
All laying the groundwork for the self-described most pro-life president in American history, should he win a second term, who, despite his current political message, will have significant authority on abortion issues if he's in office, something he made very clear just 1 year ago.
There, of course, remains a vital role for the federal government in protecting unborn life.